Welcome. This is Remote Work Essentials. I'm James, and over these first 12 episodes, we're going to build everything you need not to just survive remote work, but actually thrive in it, with some insight from my 7 years of remote working. Maybe you're brand new to working from home. Maybe you've been doing it for a little while, but you feel like something just isn't quite working for you. By the way, this is normal. Perhaps a bit rarer today, maybe your company just announced a new remote policy and you're thinking, okay, now what? Wherever you're starting from, I'm glad you're here. Remote work is an incredible opportunity. It offers freedom, flexibility, and the chance to design some aspects of your workday around your life instead of the other way around. But it also comes with real challenges that nobody really talks about until you're in the middle of them. So let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about what remote work actually is, what makes it different, and how to set yourself up for success from the beginning. Let's start with a little level setting. Remote work isn't just doing your office job, but from home. It's a fundamentally different way of working, and it requires a different mindset, approach, and different skills to succeed. Let's unpack that a little bit. In an office, so much happens automatically. You show up, you see your coworkers, you have casual conversations by the coffee machine, your manager can glance over and see that you're working. You attend meetings just by walking into a conference room. When 5 o'clock hits in the evening, you leave and you're done. You return home to a separate space where you relax and energize yourself for the next round. Most people refer to remote work from the context of our shared pandemic experience, when many of us transitioned away from the office to stay safe. The downside? All of that structure and shape to your day, it is gone when you go to work remotely. Instead, you're going to need to create your own structure. You need to communicate deliberately because there are no casual hallway conversations. You need to build relationships intentionally because you're not just running into people by chance. And you need to set your own boundaries because your home and your office are now the same place. This isn't bad. It's just different. Once you understand these differences, you can actually use them to your advantage. Before we talk about how you might thrive in remote work, let's bust some myths real quick. Myth number 1, remote workers are less productive. When organizations are prepared and deploy strong support for remote work, study after study shows remote workers are more productive. Without commute times, fewer interruptions, and the ability to work during our peak energy hours, most people get more done, not less. Responsiveness is actually often faster in remote organizations because communication is a top priority for all employees. We rely on clear and concise information. Myth number 2, you need to be available 24/7. This is probably the biggest misconception. Good remote work culture is about results and communication, not about responding to Slack or Teams at 10 p.m. Let's talk a little bit more about boundaries in a future episode, but know this, being remote doesn't mean being always online. Myth number 3. This one is less fun, but it's important that we talk about it. The myth that it will all be fun working from home. You will be isolated and lonely. It can be unsustainable if you don't address it, but it doesn't have to be that way. Remote work can actually give you more time for more meaningful connections, both with coworkers through intentional communication and with family and friends, because you're not spending 2 hours a day in traffic, or you can be available for needs just beyond your door in case of emergency. The key is understanding what you're signing up for and building the right habits from the start. That's what I want you to get from this course. Let's get clear on what kind of remote work we're talking about, because not all remote work is the same. Fully remote means you work from home or possibly anywhere all the time. Your company might not even have an office, like mine. Or if they do, you never go there. This is what I'll spend most of the time on in this course because it's the most different from traditional work culture. Hybrid remote means some days in the office, some days remote. Maybe it's 2 days in, 3 days home. Maybe you choose your own schedule. Hybrid has its own challenges, but you get some of the benefits of both worlds, and also the downsides. This is a more common type of remote work today, and a lot of the advice in this course will still apply, but you'll need to adapt it to cover both your home and in the office scenarios. Flexible remote means that you can work from home, but it's not the default. That means maybe you go in most days, but you can work from home when you need to. Or maybe you travel frequently and work from hotels and airports. This is less common as typically both workers and employers either like or dislike remote work, so they don't usually choose a voluntary blend of the two. Your experience, if in flex, may be different depending on which category you're in. Fully remote requires the most intentionality. Hybrid requires the most adaptability. You're constantly switching. This can be exhausting. Flexible means you need to be good at both office work and remote work, but you control the context a little bit more than the hybrid plan. For this course, I'll mostly speak to people who are fully remote or will be remote most of the time. Even if you're hybrid, you'll find some useful strategies and tips here. Don't sleep on this tip. Start by assessing what type of situation you're in, because that affects everything from how you set up, like where you work, to how you communicate with your team, to how you keep your work revolving around your life and not the other way around. As we continue, maybe consider dropping a comment on whether you're working remote, hybrid, flexible, or maybe you're just considering one of these spaces. I'm genuinely curious what people who are watching are considering. What usually happens when people first start working remotely, there are a few common themes. If you're struggling with any of these, you're not alone. This is completely normal, and honestly, I'd be surprised if at least one doesn't apply to you right now. The first struggle is structure. We've touched on this a little bit. In an office, your day has built-in structure. You arrive at 9, you leave at 5. You have lunch at noon, and you attend meetings that are scheduled in conference rooms. At home, you roll out of bed. You can choose to open your laptop, and suddenly, it's 3 p.m. and you've been working nonstop, and you forgot to eat lunch. Or the opposite happens. You can't seem to focus. You're constantly distracted, and you feel like you're not getting anything done. And sometimes, you truly aren't. This is normal. You've changed your context for doing work, and it takes time to set up and enforce new expectations of your workday. The second struggle is communication. In the office, if you have a question, you walk over to someone's desk. You overhear conversations that give you more context. You can read people's body language and know whether they're stressed or busy or open to chat. Remote, you're shooting that message into the void, wondering if anyone saw them. It might even feel like the 3 dots bubble apprehension when someone's when you're texting with someone significant. You're not sure if silence means that they're busy or they're mad or you just haven't checked messages in a few hours. This is the challenge of adapting to new expectations of communication. It takes time and intentionality. The third struggle is loneliness. This one most often catches people off guard, or was a challenge during a trial period of doing anything at a distance. Even if you're an introvert who loves not having to make small talk in the break room, Humans are social creatures. After a few weeks of only talking to your cat and seeing coworkers as tiny boxes on a screen, it can start to feel isolating. You miss the casual interactions, the sense of being part of something, the energy of other people around you, even if you love being apart from them most of the time. You will encounter this as a remote worker. Don't shy away from recognizing loneliness as a factor. It can be countered, and we have to be very purposeful about how we meet our own needs. The fourth struggle is boundaries. When your home is your office, it's really hard to stop working. You can check email while you make dinner. You can take calls on the weekend. You can decide to spend a few minutes on a project early or late because you're bothered by its lack of completion. That's me. You feel guilty by taking a real lunch break because you're already at home. Shouldn't you be more available? Before you know it, you're working far more hours than you ever did in the office, and you're exhausted. You look for efficiencies in your day-to-day to squeeze a little bit more out of it, and it becomes very stress-packed. Feeling heavy pressure is probably an indicator of boundaries, or in another word, expectations, that could use refinement and enforcement. Here's the good. All of these challenges have solutions. There's even a common thread. It's learning how to set expectations that are reasonable for both yourself and for others, and learning to practice making those expectations affect your actions. You are conducting paradigm change. You will need to keep practicing to keep improving these conditions. One of the biggest mindset shifts you need to make is moving from presence equals productivity to results equal productivity. In an office, there's this unconscious pressure to look busy. You keep your email open and awake so the status light stays green. You don't leave early even when your work is done. You schedule meetings to seem engaged. A lot of office culture is performative. It's about being seen working, not necessarily about the work itself. Remote work strips all that away. Nobody can see you. Nobody knows if you're actually working or watching Netflix. And that's terrifying for some people, both workers who feel like they need to prove themselves and employers who feel like they've lost control. But here's the shift. Remote work is about trust and outcomes. Did you deliver that report on time? Did you solve that customer's problem? Did you meaningfully contribute in that meeting? That's what matters. Not whether you were online at 9 a.m. sharp, not whether you responded to a message within 30 seconds. This is actually incredibly liberating once you embrace it. It means you can structure your day around when you work best. If you're a morning person, like me, you do your deep work at 6 or 7 a.m. If you're a night owl, start later and work later. I have incredible teammates who are routinely posting software updates at 7, 8, 9 p.m. because they don't like to be at work early in the morning. Take a long lunch, go to the gym, run an errand in the middle of the day. As long as you're communicating with your team, meeting your commitments, and delivering quality work, the specifics of your schedule can be much more flexible. Of course, this does depend on your role and company culture. If you're in customer support with set hours, you can't be completely flexible. But even then, there's still more flexibility than you had in an office. The key is shifting your own mindset first, and then helping your team and manager shift theirs too. Flexibility is your new superpower. So how do you actually succeed at remote work? Let me give you the framework we're going to build together over this course. First, create your environment. You need a dedicated workspace, the right equipment, and a setup that supports focus and comfort. We're covering all of this in episode 2. Your environment shapes your mindset. If you're working from your couch with your laptop balanced on your knees, you're going to struggle sometimes. Invest in your workspace. Make it somewhere you want to spend time. Second, master communication. Remote work lives and dies on communication. You need to know when to send a message or write an email versus hopping on a call. How to write clearly, how to run effective meetings with longer pauses in them than you would use in person. How to stay visible without being annoying. Episodes 4 and 6 are all about this. And honestly, communication skills will make or break your remote work experience. Third, manage your time and energy. Without the structure of an office, you need to create your own predictability. That means time blocking, protecting your focus time, avoiding the always-on track, and building sustainable routines. Episode 5 dives into this. This is where remote work can truly become magical when you learn how to design your ideal workday. Fourth, build real relationships. Just because you're not in the office doesn't mean you can't have meaningful connections, even with your coworkers. It just requires more intention. Episode 7 is all about building trust and staying connected and creating that sense of community that makes work enjoyable. Fifth, protect your boundaries and well-being. This might be the most important one. You need clear boundaries between work and life, strategies for avoiding burnout, and ways to take care of your mental health. Episodes 8 and 10 will cover this because none of this other stuff matters if you're miserable and burned out. This is critical. And finally, keep growing. Remote work is a skill. The more you do it, the better you get. Episode 9 is about advancing your career remotely, and episode 11 tackles all the problems that you will inevitably face so you know how to troubleshoot them when they arrive. By the time we're done, you should have a complete playbook for thriving in remote work. Here's how this course works. Each episode is going to be 15, maybe 20 minutes, and focuses on one key area of remote work. I want to keep things practical, just giving you actionable steps you can implement or at least consider right away. After each episode, I'll give you a clear action item or two. Don't necessarily try to do everything all at once. Pick one thing, implement it, see how it works, and move on to the next episode. Some of this will resonate immediately. Some of it might not apply to your situation, and that's okay. Think of this as building a toolkit. You don't need every tool on day one, but you'll be glad that you have them when you do need them. Next episode, we're diving into creating your workspace, how to set up a home office that actually works, even if you don't have a lot of space or a big budget. That's where the physical foundation of remote work begins. So here's your action item for today. Take a minute and think about why you want to make remote work succeed. What's your motivation? Is it the flexibility? The lack of a commute? More time with family? Something else? The ability to live somewhere you love? Write it down, because on the hard days, and there will be hard days, that reason helps remind you why you're putting in the effort to build these skills. I'm glad you're here. Let's do this. See you in episode 2.